Okay, I talked to most of the economic development folks in the room. I think it's fair to say, including the port in this, all of the EDCs have a great deal of interest being shown by companies in the valley, manufacturing companies especially, and some of it from Mexico, looking at possibly moving sites over here, moving offshoring some production. Some of the contract manufacturers are actually getting or expect to get some work that was done in Mexico outsourced to them to get credit for the U.S. manufacturing on that. But nobody can talk about anything because it's all confidential at this point. So until announcements are made, obviously we'll just have to know that there's a lot of activity. So you folks that are in manufacturing right now, I think it's safe to assume that once all the tariff confusion, uncertainty, let me say it that way, subsides and we actually see what the tariff regime looks like for the reasonably long term, I think more companies that are fishing around might make a yes or no decision based on the real cost. Right now, I don't think anybody that's in Mexico or anywhere else can really make a big-time capital investment decision until they know what their costs are going to be one way or the other. So that's kind of where we are. But we could have, and I know the port director is going to talk a little bit about what's going on there, and I'll let him address that. But there's a lot of activity and a lot of potential growth, continued growth in the valley in the manufacturing arena. So I think we're looking at a lot of good news coming down the pike. I think Rick Carrera with COSTEP was going to cover a few things with you. The rest of the EDCs didn't have any industrial news to share.
Thank you, Mike, and kudos to all the EDCs. I know you all have a lot of projects going, and they are correct. It's too late. It's too early for them to be sharing information. But speaking of recruitment, those of you who don't know, I'm Rick Carrera. I'm the Director of Economic Development for COSTEP. We call ourselves the Council for South Texas Economic Progress. We promote the 7 counties here in South Texas, going from Cameron all the way to Webb County and Laredo. And we call it a regional because obviously those who've been here for a long time, we are in fact, a binational region here because we share our neighbors with our corresponding cities, municipios there in Mexico. So we're in the business of recruitment, and part of our current strategy or strategy moving forward is to start creating some what they are called industry clusters in the area. One of the first clusters we're working on is an automotive cluster. And first of all, let me start. Most automotive clusters, we've looked into these things. There's some in Tennessee. Obviously, there's one in Detroit. They actually become membership organizations where you've got to pay a membership and they've got the bylaws and all that. We're not going to that level. What we're looking for here mostly is just to create a cluster of awareness so people know that we have 140 automotive suppliers here in the area. I oftentimes travel to other areas of the country, and my boss often takes trips overseas to promote our region. And more often than not, we get questions from a lot of industry people. It's like, okay, that's great. You have a strong manufacturing base there, but what exactly do you produce? And I'll say, we have 140 automotive companies. Well, great. What do they produce, right? So that's kind of what we're after here. We're just looking for information from a lot of our suppliers and producers here. Not so much because we want to know all your trade secrets and your industry and who you're selling to and all that. Not necessarily. It's more about creating a good base of information that we can use to help promote the area, to help bring more industry to the area, and help our local EDCs with their recruitment efforts. So when we bring companies to the area, we often hand them off to whichever EDC, even the port. We help land a company for the Port of Brownsville and their new industrial park. But it's mostly for recruiting efforts. I'll be here for the duration of the meeting, obviously, and we'll have some more information about this moving forward. We're in the process of creating our questionnaire and that kind of thing so we can get it to y'all so that we can get information. And again, this is not to create competition for y'all. If that becomes a byproduct of it, that was not the intention of it. I think it's more about us, like I said, creating awareness of the region, who's in the area, what can they produce. I will add that oftentimes I will talk to companies that are outside the area and they're looking for companies here within Rio South Texas that they can partner up with to help produce something, right? Maybe they're not ready to move their entire operation down here, but they're looking at, well, let's get our feet wet. Let's start working with somebody in that area and see what the cost advantages are, and then let's enjoy the advantages, but work with somebody there without taking that entire risk. This will help kind of bridge those connections also. So that's kind of what we're after. Like I said, we'll have more information on it moving forward. I'll be here for the rest of the time. And if you need to talk to me, ask me anything about it, by all means, I'll be around. You can ask questions. But the other thing is, what we've noticed is a lot of the companies, we've been approached by some companies saying, hey, I need to find more work. I need more suppliers. I need that kind of thing. And this is also a way for you to market, for us to at least get the word out. This is what you do. Now, as a nonprofit, we can't promote one company specifically, but if we can help create connections between companies to, bridge those connections also, we're more than willing to do that. But again, thank you guys. I don't know if anybody has any questions. Mike. All righty. Thank you guys. Enjoy your meal. I'm jealous of y'all.